Shalom viewers, welcome to today's episode of Load Shedding, a show that focuses explicitly on current affairs pertaining to the African continent. And today we shall be focusing on a controversial topic. Now, contrary to what we normally do, today's topic will not be on an African continent. We shall be going outside of the continent. However, do not be afraid, it shall still be a story on Africans. I hope you enjoy. My name is Kees Kibinda. Today's controversial topic takes us to the State of Israel. Now, as many of you know, the State of Israel was set up or created in 1948 as a safe haven for Jews who were displaced all over the world, and most of them had refugee status, and they were given the chance to set up their own country, Israel, and start up their own lives there. And of course, needless to say, with all the atrocities that the Jews have faced over the years, it's only fair that they were given the chance to set up their own country. Despite the southern part of Tel Aviv having a vibrant African influence with African stalls here and there, and one being able to hear the languages of Tigrinya from Eritrea being spoken, as well as Arabic, which is spoken in Sudan, one cannot say that the livelihood of these refugees is made easy by the Israelis. These methods include indefinite detention, obstacles to accessing Israel's asylum system, the rejection of 99.9% of Eritrean and Sudanese asylum claims, ambiguous policies on being allowed to work, and severely restricted access to healthcare, a 2014 Human Rights Watch report found. In 2013, Israel completed the open-air detention center called Holot for men only in the south of the country. And if these men failed to report when summoned, they would face either imprisonment or deportation. The Supreme Court of Israel ruled in 2015 that African migrants or African refugees could only be held for up to 12 months in this open-air detention center. Recently, Israel enacted new legislation adding extra taxes on salaries of asylum seekers. Now, asylum seekers already have menial or low-paying jobs, and in many cases they're not even allowed to work, but in certain circumstances the government would allow it. Now, what does this new legislation mean? It means that employers hiring these asylum seekers are charged extra for it, and for the asylum seekers themselves, 20% of the salary that they're getting, mind you, it's already quite low, is held in and will only be paid out to them once they leave the country. On top of that, the Israeli government has also been offering refugees to leave the country to either Rwanda or Uganda and be given $5,000 on top of that. So they get a free flight and be given $5,000. Now, in recent years, around 20,000 people are said to have left, which means that there's 40,000 still in Israel, but it is not clear whether these 20,000 people have taken the deal with the $5,000 cash and go to either Rwanda or Uganda. Now, on top of that, as of 2018, single men, doesn't matter if they've been in the country for a long time or not, when they come to renew their visas, are being told that they're given 60 days to either leave the country and take the $5,000 to go to either Uganda or Rwanda or face jail time. This month in April, it was said that a UN agreement had been signed that would move 16,000 refugees to Canada, Germany, and Italy. However, a few hours after coming to the agreement, the Prime Minister of Israel, Mr. Netanyahu, cancelled the agreement, citing that their Supreme Court stated that the agreement was illegal as it would move refugees to countries that they don't want to go to. Now, this somewhat has my head scratching because, well, as I mentioned earlier, the government had already been offering people or refugees to leave the country with $5,000 in their pocket to go to either Rwanda or Uganda. And I wouldn't say that this is voluntary either. So what's the difference? Now, even though it seems that there's a lot of support from Israelis to kick out these refugees, some polls stating that it is even as high as 60%, there's also quite a few Israelis out there that are against the deportation of refugees and are even saying that it is illegal. And they make heavy reference to their own past, where they're saying, look at us, how we created Israel, coming from all parts of the world as refugees and building up this country to what it is today. They say that it should only be fair that these African migrants or African refugees, so to say, are given the same chance. On top of that, they also make a reference, a quite emotional reference to Anne Frank, who was kept hidden by Dutch families all those years ago during the Second World War. And they're saying that very much they'd like to do the same if it really comes to this, that the government starts kicking out refugees. They will take them into their own homes and hide them. Personally, I would agree with the latter group. I would say that it is rather unfair to kick out refugees from Israel. You know, these people left the country for a reason. They didn't just flee Eritrea and Sudan for fun. They left lives behind that were a threat to them, and therefore they came to what they thought was a safe haven to start up their lives again and rebuild it. However, they have not really been given this chance. Now, of course, I've heard many arguments as to why these refugees should be kicked out, mostly because of, well, a lack of space. And yeah, I hear you. Obviously, it is not the ideal situation, but I'm pretty sure that with a little bit more collaboration, something can be done to make the livelihoods of these people better. And by the time things are safer back home, a lot of them would actually be willing to go back. Of course, you know, if people end up settling in an area for quite a while, they will start feeling at home. But I'm still pretty sure that quite a few would love to go back to their respective countries and help build up once the time arises for that. Now, that's it for today. I'd like to hear from you what your views are. Do you think that the Israeli government is within its rights to kick out and deport these people? Do you think that it is the right step for them to even try, or to have tried sending them to Europe or Uganda and Rwanda against these people's wishes? How would you have handled it? I'd like to hear that from you. And what do you think can be done to make their livelihoods better whilst they are in Israel? Well, as usual, you can put your comments in the box below. On top of that, you can also send me an email, and I am to be found on several social media platforms. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course right here on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any improvements that you'd like to mention towards me, of course you can say that as well in the box below or via email. I'd like to hear from you. Please subscribe. My name is Kees Kibinda. Until next time, bye bye.